28, Day 1. Vulnerable. Open to attack, susceptible.
The egotist is vulnerable to slights and insults.
Bedlam. Confusion, uproar.
The winning team's dressing room was a scene of bedlam.
Cacophony. Discord, harsh sound, dissonance.
Electronic music is considered nothing more or less than cacophony by many.
Exploit. Profit by, utilize.
Advertisers spend large sums to exploit the lucrative teenage market.
Propinquity. Nearness in time or place.
Astronauts are alert to the propinquity of sudden accidents.
A white elephant. A costly and useless possession.
When he discovered the 30-volume encyclopedia, dated 1895, in his attic, he knew he had a white elephant on his hands.
A dangerous sport. Racing car drivers are vulnerable to dangers that other sportsmen seldom face. Drivers agree that controlling a car at top speeds on a winding course is a singularly awesome experience. There is the bedlam, caused by the roaring motors that move the car from a standing start to 100 miles an hour in 8 seconds. One is shaken by the cacophony of the brakes, larger than the wheels, and producing during the course of a 350-mile race, enough heat to warm an 8-room house through a hard winter. The driver needs to be on the alert to exploit any mistake by an opponent, and he must be constantly aware of the propinquity of sudden death. All of this makes car racing one of the most demanding games of all.
Week 28, Day 2. Disgruntled. Unhappy, displeased.
It is the prevalent mood for youngsters to be disgruntled with the world situation.
Infallible. Exempt from error, right.
An infallible sign of spring is the blooming of the crocus.
Panacea. Cure-all.
Many people hoped that the United Nations would be the panacea for the problems of our time.
Eradicate. Wipe out.
The criminal tried to eradicate all of the witnesses to the bizarre murder.
Impede. Interfere, block, hinder.
Nothing could impede the bigot from his vitriolic verbal attack.
Lock, stock, and barrel. Entirely, completely.
The company moved its operations to another state. Lock, stock, and barrel.
The mystery of creativity. In order to create, it is said that a man must be disgruntled. The creative individual is usually one who is dissatisfied with things as they are. He wants to bring something new into the world, to make it a different place. There is no infallible way to identify a potentially creative person. The speed up in the sciences has forced schools and industry to seek a panacea for the shortages that they face. The need to discover and develop the creative person has been the source of much study. The paramount objectives of the studies are to eradicate anything that will impede the discovery of creative talent, and to exploit this talent to the limit.
Week 28, Day 3. Sedate. Quiet, still, undisturbed, sober.
There is something absurd about a well-dressed, sedate man throwing snowballs.
Equanimity. Evenness of mind, composure.
The speaker lost his equanimity, and began to use invective when the audience started to laugh.
Compatible. Harmonious, well-matched.
The boy and girl discovered they had many compatible interests.
Serenity. Peaceful repose.
The serenity of the countryside was shattered by the explosion.
Revere. Honor, respect, admire.
There are not many people in this world whom one can revere.
A feather in one's cap. Something to be proud of.
If she could get the movie star's autograph, she knew it would be a feather in her cap.
The Dutch. The first impression one gets of Holland is that it is a calm, sedate, and simple land. The slow rhythm of life is even seen in the barges on the canals, and the bicycles on the roads. One gradually discovers this equanimity of daily existence is not in accord with the intrinsic nature of the Dutch. These people are moved by strong feelings that are not compatible with the serenity of the world around them. There is a conflict between the rigid, traditional social rules and the desire for liberty and independence, both of which the Dutch revere.
Week 28, Day 4. Irrational. Unreasonable, absurd.
We ought to expect some irrational behavior from a senile person.
Avarice. Greed, passion for riches.
Who is not vulnerable to some measure of avarice?
Insatiable. Cannot be satisfied.
The American consumer appears to have an insatiable need for new products.
Nadir. Lowest point.
He looked upon the last place finish of his team with equanimity. From this nadir the only place to go was up.
Moribund. Dying, at the point of death.
With the expansion of the supermarket, the small, local grocery store is in a moribund state.
Out on a limb. In a dangerous or exposed position.
He went out on a limb and predicted he would win the election by a wide margin.
Tulip fever. The tulip reached Holland in 1593 and was, at first, looked upon as a curiosity. There soon developed an irrational demand for new species. Specimens were sold at awesomely high prices. In their avarice, speculators bought and sold the same tulip 10 times in one day. The entire Dutch population suffered from the craze. There was an insatiable desire for each new color or shape. At one point a man purchased a house for 3 bulbs. Before long the inevitable crash came, and the demand for bulbs quickly reached its nadir. A $1,500 bulb could be bought for $1.50. With the moribund tulip market, came financial disaster to thousands of people.